From unexpected losses and suspenseful overtime games, USC basketball has thrown us for a loop this season.
2 men's basketball games remain before the highly anticipated Pac-12 tournament next week. Sports Scene starts now.
Welcome to this week's episode of Sports Scene. I'm Lindsay Lopes.
And I'm Natalie Reddington. Lots to discuss today, starting with men's basketball coming to the end of their season. The Trojans are looking to redeem themselves when they play the Utah Utes and the Colorado Buffaloes later this week, as they suffered close losses to both teams earlier this season. USC is ranked 8th in the Pac-12 and are looking to move up in the rankings following this week's games.
Currently, Utah and Colorado are ranked 5 and 6 in the Pac-12. The victories would place USC into the top 5 teams and would be a booster approaching the Pac-12 tournament. We spoke to head coach Andy Enfield after practice this week to see how they're preparing for the upcoming games.
We have to go compete and play defense. We were not physical enough against Utah the first game. Against Colorado, it was a slower pace game, and we have to, once again, the last 2 minutes, we gave up right-hand drives in the last minute and a half, and that's something that shouldn't happen. So we have to do a better job when the game's on the line of preventing the other team from scoring.
The Trojans head to the mountains to play Utah tomorrow night and then play the Buffs on Saturday.
As for women's basketball, the team is heading into Pac-12 play tomorrow and are coming off of a stellar win against Colorado and Utah this weekend. Take a look at this play by Mignon Moore and Aaliyah Mazik from the Women of Troy's win over Colorado last Friday. The communication between Mazik and Moore are what make them so successful. After the game, I got to speak with Mazik and asked about her performance against the Buffs. Here's what she said.
That trick play, we always get it. It's always about the eye contact. We communicate with our eyes, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna be open, and I just look at her with my big eyes, and then if I'm open, she throws it. If not, I don't get it. But that's like routine for us. That's a routine play. But 3-pointers today, just following. My family is here. My whole entire family is here. So it's exciting to put on a show for them.
The seedings are out for the men's and women's basketball Pac-12 tournaments in Las Vegas this and next week. Let's toss it to Daniel and Dylan for a bracket breakdown.
Thanks, Natalie and Lindsay. To dive a little more into Pac-12 tournament play, we are officially just days away from the start of the Pac-12 tournament play. We begin with the men's tournament, which will last from March 13th to the 16th. All the games will be played in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. The men's basketball team is currently ranked 6th in the Pac-12. And if the tournament started today, the Trojans will play Washington State, who sits at the low end of the conference at 11th place.
Washington, Arizona, UCLA, and Utah are all receiving a first-round bye, and as such, will be automatically placed in the quarterfinal as the 1 through 4 seeds, respectively. Earlier this week, we spoke to Trojans head coach Andy Enfield on what they have to address going into the tournament.
We have to do the little thing.
As for the women of Troy, they will play against the number 8 seed Arizona as the number 9 seed. The women's tournament will last from March 7th to the 10th, with their games taking place at the MGM Garden Arena.
You can catch the women of Troy play the Arizona Wildcats this Thursday at 2 p.m. on the Pac-12 network. Although basketball is coming to an end, football is back. Let's toss it to Chloe for more on the first spring practice.
Thanks, Daniel and Dylan. USC football practice started yesterday. All 11 early enrollees and some new coaches will have their first official practice. After coming off a 5-7 season with no bowl game, the Trojans were ready to get back on the field. Despite the tough 2018 season, the Trojans were high energy at practice. They've lost some key players on both sides of the ball, but have regrouped and refocused. They are ready to move forward this season and prove themselves on the field.
It felt like forever, we end on a season like we did with no bowl game, so we just had a lot of time to reflect. So when workouts finally started, we were going really hard every single day, and we had a lot of time to think about it. Like I said earlier, not being in the bowl game.
It feels great to be back out here with these guys. A lot of new energy in the building from the coaching staff to the players, and Coach Helton really getting on us. So the atmosphere and excitement of this program is on all-time high.
The new offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell, has brought in a new air raid offense with an entirely new playbook. The offense will run simpler and faster. And he announced it will be an open competition again for quarterbacks. Early enrollee Kendall Slavis had an impressive first practice throwing with heat and touch.
I would say much less words, so much less terminology, much less plays, and just way more simple. So, I mean, you know exactly what you have on each play. There's not much thinking, just go.
But I felt like it was good. I felt like it was simple, and I felt like and I felt like we played fast.
These changes should make for an exciting spring camp. All spring practices will be open to the public. Now let's toss it back to Lindsay with an update on USC track and field.
USC track and field is heading into the indoor NCAA championships. I got to sit down with former USC athlete Kendall Ellis, who ran the anchor position during the 2018 outdoor NCAA championships. Let's see what she said.
Passing on the inside. I'm not sure if that was incidental contact necessarily.
So,
but Purdue
this finish was amazing. What was going through your head during this?
You know, I couldn't tell how far ahead Purdue was. I was just like, stay in the zone, let me run my race and just go for it.
And were you expecting to pass her? Was that your goal? What was going through your head during this time? Was it just the pressure of winning? What was it?
I think it was a lot of adrenaline. You know, Coach Carroll told us beforehand, we win this, we win the entire meet. And that didn't put any extra pressure on me. That just made me more excited and was like, okay, time to come out here and perform. Just do what we had been training all season to do.
Absolutely. And how sweet was that national championship and being such a large feature of that?
It was great. It was great. You know, I'm glad that it brought more attention to the sport itself. You know, once it went viral, people were recognizing me, which is awesome. But more importantly, they're watching the sport. You know, whether it's just a small clip or not. Now they know what track and field looks like and what it is, and hopefully they tune into future meets as well.
Awesome. So you have recently signed with New Balance, like we said. And tell us about the process of signing pro. I think a lot of the time people often just think, oh, you go to college, you perform, you graduate, you move on and go pro. Right. Can you tell us about the realistic process of that, and especially the difficulties of that? It's not just easy.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult. You know, you have to be the best of the best at the very top, and even then sometimes it can be hard to get a contract because there's only so much money in track and field. So for me personally, it was a very long process, a really stressful one. You know, you go, you find an agent, the agent then goes out and talks to different shoe companies, whether it's Nike, Puma, Adidas, New Balance, and kind of gauges the interest. And from there, you pick your shoe company and then you rock with them. But it's definitely a stressful process and not as simple as you ran fast, so here, take this money. There's so much more that goes into it, especially now, like with social media and those kinds of things. They want to see how marketable are you, how engaged with followers are you, are people going to buy the shoes that you're wearing because you're wearing them? And there's just so much more that goes into it now than just running fast.
Always great to see Kendall. She was a teammate of mine. She was the captain here her senior year. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what she does with her career. Very excited for her.
And USC women's water polo is having an incredible season. They recently took first place at the Barbara Kalpis Invitational Tournament after beating Stanford in the final game. They're currently unbeaten with a record of 17-0, a 33-game win streak, and they're ranked #1 in the nation. Our reporter Lauren LaBruna interviewed Bailey Weber for this week's edition of Ask an Athlete.
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren LaBruna and I'm here with women's water polo athlete Bailey Weber, and I'm going to do a series on Ask an Athlete, and so I'm going to ask you as many questions as possible in 60 seconds. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so what's your favorite thing to do before a match?
Probably dance with my teammates.
Okay, what's your favorite food?
Definitely pizza.
What's your favorite pump-up song?
Ooh, Shots.
Who's your celebrity crush?
Definitely,
No celebrity crush?
David Beckham.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Who's your role model?
My mom.
What's one word your teammates would use to describe you?
Oblivious.
Oblivious, okay. What's your dream vacation spot?
Ooh, the Bahamas.
What's your spirit animal?
Probably a sheep.
Who's your funniest teammate?
Definitely Amanda.
What is your favorite thing to do with teammates?
Go bowling.
Okay. What's your biggest pet peeve?
When people just like, I don't know, when they like leave stuff all over the floor and you trip over it.
Gotcha. And last one, what's your favorite TV show?
Ooh, Hawaii 5-0.
Amazing. Well, that's all we have for today. Back to you guys in the studio.
We spoke earlier in the show about the exciting start of spring football yesterday. Some special USC alums came by the practice session to give the boys some advice.
Mark Sanchez, Terrell Thomas. All right, what do we want to see from these guys this spring?
Hustle and fundamentals.
I love it. Fundamentals, we want to see them hustle. I want to see this offense light it up. We'll see what happens.
Hustle and fundamentals.
Hustle and fundamentals. Fight on, baby.
Lindsay, I don't know if you know this, but I think Mark Sanchez was somewhat of a legend during his time here. He took USC to a record of 12-1 that season, won the Rose Bowl, and took home the MVP award for that game.
What a time for USC football. Athletic Director Lynn Swan was also there.
It's an exciting time for spring season football coming back around. So that's all we have for you today. Thanks for tuning into Sports Scene this week.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Annenberg Media Sports. We'll see you next week.